New details are emerging after carbon monoxide poisoning killed one person at a local hotel. Tonight, we're asking questions about why it happened and if it could have been prevented. Plus, crash landing will take you to the scene as the pilot was walking away from this close call. And some disturbing news about where West Virginia's education system stacks up against the rest of the nation. Are your children getting what they need? Good evening, I'm April Kaull. This is 13 News at 6.
This is WOWK, the home of 13 News, where weather comes first. Here's your Storm Tracker 13 first forecast with Chief Meteorologist Spencer Adkins.
Well, hi, everybody. You know, the sun beating down on the ground continually, low humidity, high temperatures, all those combined for a perfect recipe for wildfires. That's why there was a red flag, still is a red flag warning in southeast Kentucky. That means no burning. Also a strong suggestion from West Virginia forestry officials and the National Weather Service to avoid that burning until we see some rain. When will we see some rain? Late tonight. In fact, we already see a few echoes. Let's show you the live Doppler radar network. Right around the Portsmouth area, we see a couple little showers. Now, a lot of that not reaching the ground, but those are heading out to the north and to the east. We'll slide out a little bit wider. You start to see some rain creeping in right there. It's moving out of Lexington, and it's sliding its way toward Moorhead. So that's the first round. It is weakening, but that's the first round of at least some moisture. More on the way. We'll come back, and we'll check out the complete forecast in just a few minutes.
Spencer, thank you very much. It's something that you never expect to hear. One man dead, others taken to area hospitals after carbon monoxide poisoning at the Holiday Inn Express in South Charleston. We've been following developments throughout the day since the story broke earlier. Reporter Gil McClanahan joins us live at St. Francis Hospital tonight with the very latest. Gil, how many people, including the man from Rhode Island who died, have been affected by all of this?
Probably about 6, April. 4 victims, as you said, were brought here to St. Francis Hospital. One, we're told, is in critical condition on a ventilator. 2 are in stable condition, and 1 is being evaluated by emergency room doctors as emergency workers try to figure out why a hotel filled up with carbon monoxide. As a precaution, hotel guests were told to get out of the building.
Well, I was in my room, and they started banging on the door saying fire department. And I opened the door and they said I needed to evacuate, that there was chemicals in the hotel.
Lawrence admits it's an unsettling feeling being told to evacuate your hotel.
When somebody mentions chemicals, then you're scared because you're not sure what kind of chemicals it is. So you start thinking, getting all paranoid.
They told me that something happened on the 5th floor, which that's where I stay at, in room 502. Something in room 511, and they said there was somebody passed away, and one person unconscious.
Authorities later determined the person found dead was a construction worker from Rhode Island. It's unclear where the other person is from. Crews had been staying at the hotel and got worried when the pair did not show up for work.
Went to work this morning. Their supervisor told them to go back, get these guys up, get them into work. They were supposed to meet like at 8 or something, and they came back, couldn't get them to awake when they knocked on the door. The hotel staff ended up going upstairs and unlocking the door for them and got in. They found them in that condition.
Now, emergency workers are still trying to pinpoint the source of that carbon monoxide, which of course can be difficult given the fact that carbon monoxide is an odorless gas. Now, authorities add the hotel did not have carbon monoxide detectors inside the building. Live here in Charleston, Gil McClanahan, 13 News.
Gil, thank you very much. You bring up an interesting point that hotels and motels are not required to have those detectors. A carbon monoxide detector could have prevented that incident at the Holiday Inn. We did check with officials, and the owners are not required to have those detectors in the hotels or motels in our area. Authorities at the Charleston Health Department, they were out at the scene. They were checking out the building. They were also looking for any violations. They told us that it could be a few days before the building's back open, but Dr. Raul Gupta, the director of the health department in Kanawha County, says these kinds of incidents are absolutely preventable.
To me, these are all preventable deaths and preventable hospitalizations, and we shouldn't be losing these people to something as simply preventable as carbon monoxide. So absolutely, I think there's something that if it's as simple as putting a carbon monoxide alarm in to save a life, I think that's much more cost effective if nothing else. So I think that we should look at that.
Every year, hundreds of people are accidentally killed in their own homes as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning. It can cause symptoms similar to the flu: headache, nausea, fatigue, dizziness, as well as irritability. Now to a breaking news update we've been following from Putnam County. A train hit a teenager late this afternoon. Chrissy Clutter joins us by phone from the scene of that accident with the very latest. Chrissy, we're showing people an image from the scene of this accident late today. What can you tell us about what happened here, and what do we know about the victim at this point?
Well, April, police say sometime after school ended here at Hurricane High, 16-year-old Jacob Ball Jr. was walking the train tracks across from the school towards town. Now, he was hit and killed. Officials tell me the flashing lights and sound on the train were working. It is rumored that Ball was wearing headphones, but authorities have not confirmed that. We did hear from Hurricane Mayor Scott Edwards just a few moments ago. He obviously says friends and family are quite disturbed. Friends and family have actually gathered here at the scene, and they have called in the crisis team to talk with students tonight and tomorrow. April, a sad day here in Hurricane, a tight community, the mayor says, and he says he's headed home to hug his children. He says tomorrow students will be dealing with counselors, and we're going to have much more on this story coming up tonight at 7 and 11. For now, reporting in Hurricane, I'm Chrissy Clutter, 13 News.
All right, Chrissy Clutter, thank you very much for that reporting from the scene. We will continue to follow up and give you additional updates as they become available. In other news this afternoon, a woman was stabbed at the Transit Mall in Charleston. It happened at about 10 o'clock this morning. The woman had to be taken to the hospital while another woman was taken into custody. The victim's condition and the names of the people involved haven't been released. We'll continue to follow up. We also have new details on a murder investigation. Police have charged 38-year-old John Hudson of Ashford with murder in connection with the shooting of Michelle Gillespie. Hudson's in the South Central Regional Jail. Investigators tell us they got Hudson's cell phone, called him, and then talked with him, and he turned himself in. Authorities made contact with Hudson near Beckley. He was driving Gillespie's car at the time. When Hudson later turned himself in, he told investigators the shooting was an accident. A Charleston man arrested in connection with a June shooting on the west side of Charleston learned his fate this morning. Chadwick Taylor was sentenced to 5 years in prison on charges of malicious wounding and wanton endangerment. Police say he fired shots at a woman riding in another vehicle. Prosecutors say Taylor has an extensive criminal past, including robbery, wanton endangerment, and battery, but those charges had been dismissed. Plenty of drama this morning at an airport in eastern Kentucky after a pilot was forced to ditch his disabled plane. The single-seat experimental aircraft experienced some electrical trouble just after 10 o'clock this morning while it was flying over Ashland Regional Airport in Worthington. The airport is located just a half mile from an elementary school, and the tower tried several times to reach the pilot, couldn't get a response. All the air traffic was cleared out of the area as the plane circled several times. Still no communication with anyone on the ground. That's when the pilot apparently made the decision to come down.
After a while, he, I guess, decided to make a landing, and when he attempted to land, the nose wheel folded up under it, and he hit the runway.
The pilot walked away from that crash, no injuries. Parker says the runway is longer than normal and that the airport has had several emergency landings in the past few years. Turning now to the state capitol, members of the West Virginia Senate passed 2 bills today, including one that would give notice of criminal and parole hearings to a person who lived with the accused criminal at least a year before the crime occurred. A bill that would prohibit correctional officers from engaging in sexual acts with prisoners regardless of consent was moved another step closer to becoming a law today as well. In the Senate, a bill that would define a student repeatedly absent from class as a neglected child, well, that was also introduced, along with the governor's bill to rein in the cost of state retirement funds, known as the OPEB debt. A new report names West Virginia's public education system, get this, among the worst in the nation. The National Council on Teacher Quality released a report earlier this year. It ranked West Virginia 41st in the country. That's a D+ grade. The report attributes the poor rankings to a lack of teacher accountability and failure to retain quality teachers, mostly due to low pay. West Virginia Education Association President Dale Lee says it is all about the money.
When our pay is 48th in the nation, you can't attract and retain the best and the brightest in the profession. And too many teachers are leaving.
Lee says in 2008 and 2009 he had more than 2,000 classrooms that didn't have a certified teacher. Still ahead here on 13 News at 6, see who's thrown his name into the hat to be Huntington's next mayor.
And it certainly has been mild today, but a couple of showers are forming up out here to the southwest. They're creeping up the Ohio River. The latest on the rain on the way on 13 News at 6.
And now more local coverage from the 13 News Frontier Communication Studios.
One county in our area is in the process of removing its sheriff from his position, but today that sheriff made some changes of his own. Kelly Brennan's been following the details from Mason County. She joins us live from the 13 newsroom with the latest. Kelly?
Well, April, Sheriff David Anthony wasted no time when he returned to office. In fact, this week when he returned, he made a few changes of his own. And what he did first, he removed 3-year veteran Jeff Fields from the role of chief deputy. Fields had been acting sheriff while Anthony was away. Now Fields is a lieutenant. Anthony then named Rob Wilson as his chief deputy. County Commissioner Rick Handley tells us Fields did a good job as acting sheriff during Sheriff Anthony's absence. But now that Sheriff Anthony is back to his position as sheriff, he does have the prerogative to make the changes that he wants. Well, today we went out to the county and spoke to the people to see what they think.
If these allegations against Dave could be false or they could be true, that's up to the court to decide. All I know is Dave's my friend. I support him in the last election, and if he wins the primary, I'll support him in the general election in the fall.
In the meantime, Handley says the County Commission continues its process to file a petition to remove Anthony from office. That's stemming from wanton endangerment and embezzlement charges that he faced earlier this month. Anthony pleaded not guilty to a 42-count indictment. He has a pretrial hearing for that coming up in March. In the meantime, we reported this week that Anthony completed paperwork to run for re-election. We'll, of course, stay on top of this story and keep you up to date here on 13 News. For now, reporting in the Huntington newsroom, I'm Kelly Brennan.
Kelly, thank you very much. Another candidate's thrown his hat into the ring to be Huntington's next mayor. Current Councilman Steve Williams filed the paperwork and paid the fee at the city clerk's office to challenge Mayor Kim Wolf for his seat. Williams is the chair of the city's finance committee and says he understands Huntington's financial woes. He told us he has a new vision and hopes to move the city into the future on good fiscal footing.
Everything that we can to reduce the crime rate, to be able to make sure our people, our citizens are safe. But through that, you have to be able to make the smart and the right decisions. And I think my background, I'm going to be able to help us do that.
Today was the last day for candidates to file for city office. Williams says he didn't make the decision to run until just this morning. Well, this was the kind of day that you might have needed a little something cool to drink, especially if you spent any time outside. But if you were one of those people, you had one fewer option to cool off. We'll tell you why this juice joint closed up shop. That's coming up tonight on 13 News at 7. Up next, though, it was a very warm end to January. Chief Meteorologist Spencer Atkins is back in next with your exclusive Storm Tracker forecast. Great shot from our photographer, Ben Moore, downtown Point Pleasant earlier today. We're back here on 13 News at 6 with some breaking news from Boone and Lincoln counties. Officials with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department tell us that about 8,500 homes are in the dark right now. It looks like about 3,500 of those are in Lincoln County, another 5,000 in Boone County. Now, we checked in. We were told that a transformer exploded. Some trees were laying on a transmission line. It looks like that may have been what caused it. No word yet when the power is expected to be restored, but be sure to stay tuned right here to 13 News and WOWKTV.com. We will have all the updates for people there.
Well, at least it wasn't ice and snow. We know that.
No, it was not. It was beautiful out there today. My gosh.
Unbelievable. And tomorrow it's still warm despite some rain.
Good.
We're still around 60, 62. And then we stay in the 50s. And we're still watching that weekend fine-tuning. Right now we'll see a chance of rain, but we'll keep our eye on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Spencer. Great to be back here on the anchor desk with you. That's it for 13 News at 6. The CBS Evening News is next. We're back here in 30 minutes for 13 News at 7. Have a great night.